Hello everyone, it's Adirunke again. I hope your day is going well. Or if you're watching this at the end of the day that I'm filming this video, I hope your day went well. Today I'd like to continue with my series on interjections, common interjections that you will hear, just so that you know what they are and when they apply. So within the past month, I believe, I've discussed some interjections like O. O is the Yoruba exclamation word. It's a letter made up of a word. So it's just it's a letter that makes up a word, or it's a word made of a letter. Anyway, O. So if I say Monlo, I'm going, that's plain. It's not necessarily emphasized. It can be emphasized by the tone, because the Yoruba people have their ways, of emphasizing statements. Even if they don't put O, if a person raises their voice, that's a form of emphasis as well. But when they say O, that's an actual emphasis. That's the Yoruba people's exclamation word. We don't have an exclamation mark. We have an exclamation word, and that is O. And I've told you the way of acknowledging that, of acknowledging any statement really, but especially when the statement is emphasized. If someone says Monlo, you say O. If you say O, it's a little sharper. O can be okay depending on the tone as well. I mentioned in one of my, I think it was exactly my last, that the Yoruba people don't just talk with words. We talk with the whole of our body. So if a person says Monlo and you say O, it's like, yeah, please go, I don't care, I've been expecting you to leave. But if they say O, and all that, it's like go. And if maybe you share the same house or compound, they can say Erewa. Erewa is old Yoruba. Not many people say Erewa anymore. Erewa. They are just different ways. There are thousands of greetings really that would apply to I'm leaving, depending on if they're a visitor or they're a member of the house. So O would be a good response, a more positive, lively response than O. O can be okay dependent on the tone, but if you say O with a sharpness in a bid to acknowledge them, you're saying like, okay, I don't care. Oh, maybe don't announce, I'm not emotionally invested in your living. So O is a little more lively. So I've talked about those. I also talked about the way of emphasizing a call. So if you say Shango, that's a call. Let's say you're at, Ojubo Shango, you're at the place of worship, and everywhere is the place of worship, but you're at the shrine, if you say Shango, that's just a call. If you say Shango, O is the way of emphasizing calls. So if you say Shango, that's a call. That's an emphasized call. So if you say Oshun as well, as opposed to just Oshun, but if you say Oshun, you're saying it with a kind of one. When you emphasize a call, especially with the word O, you are honoring. You can say O to honor. You can say it to emphasize the call. There was one more that I mentioned in the video, if I remember correctly. You can also say it in a bid to just request for their attention in general. O, O. So if you say O, if you put O at the end of a statement, O, O, the tone mark that goes with that is Do. Your tone, O is there's Do, there's Re, there's Mi. O will be different from, that is O is Mi, Mi will be different from O, which is Re, O, Re, and it will be different from O, O. No. What was I going to say? Yeah, it will be I confused myself there for a minute. O, Oshu, you know, O. That one is for the call, this one is for the general emphasis of anything. So even if you want to emphasize and you say Oshu, you know, you're emphasizing it. You're not necessarily emphasizing the call. O will emphasize anything. O is used to emphasize the call. With O, your voice drops low. So if you hear that's what I'm going to teach. I confused myself again. I'm going ahead of myself here. Today, basically, I'm going to teach you a different way of emphasizing. So, apart from O, you can say O. So O, you can say Oshu, and you can say Oshu. O, you can say Eshu. You can say Oyao as opposed to Oyao. So O is another way of emphasis. So to recap briefly, so that you can see the words this time around, O is what you would put at the end of any statement to emphasize it, and I'll link the video, the respective video, somewhere in this one. O is another O, so to speak. You know, it's another way of emphasizing a call, so to speak. O. Apart from O. And O might be sometimes, you know, dependent on how you use it. O might even be a greater emphasis. It's very subject to use and what you're calling. If you're calling on a deity or something, there's a way that you can use O. You know, that would be a more emphatic O. You know, O is how we would emphasize O, re, O. That's the tone that it aligns with. O is how we would emphasize a call. So when you emphasize both, you're emphasizing the way that you would emphasize a call. It might be a form of extra emphasis within itself. You're putting O and O together. O. You know, you might be emphasizing the call even further when you do O. So for people who will be around places of worship, let's say you go to Oshogbo for the festival and such, knowing this would particularly be helpful just in case you hear like these interjections and you might be thinking, what does this mean? When does it apply? You know, O might be a greater emphasis. Again, the same things that apply to O are what apply to O. Why would you put O at the end of a person's name or at the end of a thing in a bid to, you know, emphasize that call? Why would you do that? It could be to praise or hail someone or something. So if you say Eshu O, you know, Eshu O is how it would sound. O. It wouldn't be, nobody really says O. I'm just doing that so that you can see the two letters that combine to give you that sound. O. But it would be O. Is that what it would sound like? O. So an example of that being used, of course, I'll let you listen to this one and hear it for yourself how it would sound. So that is how it would sound. O. In writing, you do not need to include an exclamation mark after O, as it is an interjection or exclamation in and of itself. So for Yoruba writing, I think we're good. There are some one word interjections like yepa, yay, you know, and such, that might require the exclamation mark, but we already have our own way of emphasizing. So using the exclamation mark after O or O may be slightly unnecessary. We have our own way of exclamating. We have our exclamation words. So just thought I'd mention that. Just to recap, this is what the difference among the three would be. When you say oh, and I'd like you to go back to my video on, or maybe go to if you haven't seen it. If you use oh at the end of something, you're emphasizing it, a statement, whatever, in a bit to, sometimes it could be to warn, it could be to celebrate, just the exact same reasons sometimes. Maybe not the exact same, but yeah, the main reasons why you would use the exclamation mark in any statement, maybe, the reasons why you would use oh at the end of a statement as well. Oh, is to emphasize a general statement. It's not specific to anything, just any statement really. Or putting oh at the end of it emphasizes it. So why would you want to emphasize anything? It may be in a bit to celebrate, like the way that you would say ore ye ye oh, it celebrates that energy. When you say oh, you're emphasizing ore ye ye, the goodness of ye ye. It could be the mother in general. It could be a deity that is regarded as feminine. Now they are not necessarily in a human body. They may manifest in a kind of body, but they are not really restricted. Maybe sometimes we tend to forget that they're not humans anymore, so they're not exactly restricted to one body. They can manifest in the body of a male. They can manifest as a bird, as anything that they wish. They are not confined to a human body, but they are known to express attributes that are considered in general feminine, things that relate to the woman. So you say oh to celebrate. When you say oh, you're calling on whatever that is to emphasize a call. So if you say Aderonke, if I'm talking to you, we're discussing, and you say Aderonke, you might be emphasizing my name because you think that maybe what I've just said is naughty, or maybe I crack you up. But it's Ronke today you're here again. Here we go again, Ronke, with your silly jokes. You can say oh to emphasize, but when you say oh, it might be that I'm at the yard, I'm at the backyard, or I'm in my room and you're calling me from the living room or something. When you put oh at the end of my name, you are emphasizing that call. So when you put oh at the end of something, especially a name, especially a phenomenon or phenomena, you are calling on that thing somewhat emphatically to request for their attention, to honor them, whatever the case may be. And when you say oh is not, I think many people would use oh before they go to oh is a form of emphasized call. It's like there's an emphasis. You use oh to emphasize any statements in general. Oh is what you use to emphasize calls. When you combine oh and oh, you're putting extra emphasis on the call, aside even the oh that you've included. It's supposed to as opposed to oh. Ronke oh. Omo ida. Omo mi o. Oh. But when you say omo mi o, it's a even greater emphasis, an even greater honor if you intend to use that to honor, or even a greater way of requesting for someone's attention if that is what you're aiming for. Actually, in the order in which I made the video, and then if you want to acknowledge, you can say oh. There's a way that you would emphasize a call. I've talked about that. There's a way that you would acknowledge a call, because there's a way that you would acknowledge a statement, especially when it's emphasized, but there's also a way that you would respond to a call. So let's say someone says Aderonke oh, or Aderonke oh, you know, there's a way that I would respond, and that will be the next video because I don't want to put too many things in this one. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and share and subscribe and everything else that YouTubers ask for. Wink wink. And thank you for your support. Book me for one-on-one lessons if you're interested, and I'll see you in the next video. Enjoy the rest of your day, and goodbye.
Ọdún pẹ̀lẹ́ o onílé àbòdì ìyá àjẹsà pẹ̀lẹ́ o alóyin lóru kàárẹ̀ lúlé o oyin o ọ̀tá o ẹ̀rí o àgbá o oore yèé.